if that happened, if huge parts of the United States had no power for a year, I mean that'd be an extinction event for a lot.
They've done a study, and 90% of the population would be dead within a year. You know, during this Carrington event, I mean, one thing, we didn't rely on electricity, you know, and everybody had a cow if you wanted milk, and you had a horse if you wanted to drive. Your car wouldn't work. What do? Your telephone doesn't work. There's no way to inform the public about,
anything.
So you kind of messed up.
So, I mean, that in some ways seems far more effective than nuclear weapons.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, you're not killing people, and so that makes the decision to use them a little, it's not easier. You don't have to wrestle with your morals.
Right. There's no smoking hole at Hiroshima.
Yeah, exactly. And just because there are so many actors doing this, and there are terrorist subgroups as well, who do you retaliate against if it's done from a cargo ship and you don't even know where it came from? So who was the perpetrator? And who do you retaliate against? And yes, the military has hardened most of their infrastructure when it comes to this, but they get their electricity. 99% of their electricity comes from civilian infrastructure. So how long is that going to last? And
so do you think one of magnified EMP attacks would take out a lot? I mean, most civilian power plants?
Yeah, just one, what they call a super EMP, and that has to do with the altitude where it is exploded. From the center of that covers a certain area, whereas if you were lower down, you would only be able to cover that much area because it spreads out in a circle. So, and it just fries everything.
So why, I mean, I know there are a lot of things to worry about.
Yeah.
A lot of things are failing at once, obviously, but this seems like you might want to move it toward the top of the list of things to worry about.
Yeah, I would think so. I really would think so, but it's, and indeed the Russians and the Chinese have done so much more to harden and to protect their infrastructure than we have. And so it gets down to that whole thing about survivability, being able to survive an attack and to attack someone, and then being able to survive when they retaliate. And they've got that going for them. And it also makes somebody like, Iran, who it's a fraction of what their military budget is, and they know they can't defeat the United States. But I mean, even a simple terror group, you get their hands on a Scud missile and a nuclear device, you can really do some damage. And I don't know why that our government has not been informing us more about this. Back during the Cold War, when I was a kid, I was, in the 4th grade, we kids were informed about what could happen, what to do if something happened. At least that. And also, let's get something done.
I mean, I don't think the average person has any idea that this threat exists.
Yeah. No, they don't. The vast majority of the people don't.
Where is the climate lobby on this? I mean, they're very involved in trying to remake the grid and change our sources of energy, and they're energy experts. But is this something that they're taking up?
No, not to my knowledge, no.
Or windmills?
But this really definitely, this has to, well, they would be affected too, of course. But it's that's all about the fuel that comes, to the power agency, or whether it be coal or wind or whatever it is. But if you knock out these relay stations, the power can't go anywhere. Just fries everything.
So this does suggest, I mean, our our country's population is clustered in cities.
Yeah.
Those probably aren't going to fare as well.
No. It'd be easier to live in the country, of course, and people who live in the country would probably have better ideas, better knowledge of how to survive after an event like this. But it's a scary proposition. I mean, there needs to be education, and there needs to be something done about it, and done about it pretty quick. I mean, these protective relays that could be installed in the transformers, starting with that. I mean, we have the technology. We know how to do this. It's not something mysterious that we have to get involved in. What we do need is something like a Manhattan Project that we had back during World War II, where the Germans, we knew that the Germans were trying to develop a bomb, and so we got there quicker. And somebody to cut through all the bureaucratic red tape and be vested with the authority to get this done. We could do it in a couple of years.
So you mentioned FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't that be the agency that would be thinking about this?
Yes, you would think that, but that's not the way it works. Obama sent this to Congress, to get it done, and then it gets caught in FERC and NERC because they're controlled by the lobbies, the lobbies of the energy lobbies. That it's about they'd have to spend money, and which they don't necessarily want to do because it costs a lot. Yes, it would cost a lot. I think the government should help in this, and there's so many of them too, scattered across the United States. They're locally owned, most of the energy companies. There's an energy company in South Carolina that is really doing something about it, and there have been some cases where we've had energy companies that are making moves to protect the grid, but that's only one little part of the grid. It's when it comes down to it, they depend on the one next door to them and the one next door to them.
It would cure the AI problem pretty quick, though, right? You'd have no AI within electricity.
Yeah, exactly.
But you wonder, there's all these, I mean, a huge part of the American economy is based on digital commerce, digital innovation. I mean, this is being...
Right. Financial system is going to break down.
Exactly.
Transportation breaks down. Your water doesn't work. Food delivery is gone. Your telephones don't work. We go back to that Carrington event. The world goes back to 1859, and we're all in the dark, and the lights are out.
So you would think that all these other sectors of the economy would be lobbying, because they all are dependent on electricity. Everybody's dependent on electricity. So if I'm Google, or if I'm Microsoft running AI or whatever, I need I would be lobbying.
Especially
for this.
You've got to have that, and plus also the effects of the gamma rays, upon these microchips that they're melted. Actually, you know who the largest manufacturer of vacuum tubes is? Russia.
Vacuum tubes.
Vacuum tubes. Russia and China. They are still in the business of manufacturing vacuum tubes because
vacuum tubes like
they are
the
far more resistant. They are far more resistant to these gamma rays.
Are you serious?
Yeah, than the microchips.
Do they make
the old analog technology would work with internet dial-up?
Are they making horse carriages too? They probably should be.
They probably should be. Yeah.
You often hear people say the news is full of lies.
In Kennedy's motorcade,
239 people. The death of Jeffrey Epstein.